Hello friends, this video on management of natural resources part 5 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So with this we will end our discussion on forests and wildlife. So now we will start with water. Water, which is again another priceless natural resource which is extremely useful for us. I mean, we just cannot think of our life without water. So let us talk about the significance of water. However, I know that it is needless to discuss about the significance of water because you are all aware about how much significant water is. It is the basic necessity of all life forms. Human intervention, however, results in scarcity of water. I mean, as I mentioned before, that there is scarcity of water, and which is because of human intervention, that is human interference. There are certain human activities which are resulting in scarcity of water. And that is not a very good indication. As I mentioned before also, the resources are limited. So we should make sure that we do not get rid of them so soon that we do not get them at all in future. So what causes water scarcity? Rainfall only during few months in a year, because water, most of the water which we get comes from rainfall, right? So now rainfall doesn't happen throughout the year. So you get huge rainfall only during the rainy season, and rainy season is only during a portion of the year. So only during those months of the year you get rainfall. Loss of vegetation cover, that is again another reason which causes water scarcity. Diversion of high water demanding crops. So now if we start planting more crops, more such crops which needs more water, because in order to cultivate different types of crops, then need of water is different. There will be certain crops which will need more water, there will be certain crops which will need less water. So now if we start cultivating more such crops which need more water, what will happen? More water will get consumed, and as a result water scarcity will be there. So we should try to balance the kind of crops which we are cultivating. We should cultivate some crops which needs less water as well, so that we can save some water. Pollution from industrial effluents and urban wastes. Now, because of the development of so many industries, because of the development of so many technological things like the smokes and vehicles, the smokes of the vehicles in metros and cities, so the pollution that is created from all these things also results in water scarcity, because of this pollution your rainfall gets affected, because everything is linked to each other, right? When your environment gets polluted, the kind of rain which happens, even that is polluted, you don't get pure water and all. So this and all results in water scarcity. So these are some of the things which results in water scarcity, in which human beings have a very important role to play, because the pollution from industrial effluents and urban waste, it is under control of human beings. If people want, they can bring this pollution under control. Diversion for high water demanding crops, this is again under the control of human beings. If people want, they can divert towards low water demanding crops cultivation, right? So most of the things are under the control of human beings, and that is how we can get rid of water scarcity. Now when you talk of water, it becomes very important to talk about dams, because dams are something which actually act as reservoirs of water. They actually store water. So now we will see how does the construction of dams help us, and at the same time how do they harm us. Now dams are something which were present from a long time back. I mean, it is not something which has come up very newly. So it was there even before the British rule. But before the British rule, dams were not constructed on a very high level. I mean, you never had very big dams which are controlled by the central authority and all. You had dams, small dams, which were managed by the local people. Construction of the dams also assured that basic minimum needs of local people are met. That means for a small locality, you had a small dam got constructed. Because of the construction of the dams, it was also ensured that the local people should not get affected. The ecological balance should not get disturbed. So that is how the scenario was before the British rule. What happened after the British rule? What were the changes after the British rule? what happened? Large scale projects were introduced. Now when the Britishers came to India, there were such many large scale projects which were introduced, right? Because in order to develop industrialization, and that is how industrialization took place in India. Earlier everything was like, you did not have much factories and industries and all, so that industrial revolution came up only after the British rule. So after that, large scale projects were introduced, so people started constructing large dams and all. Now there was advantage, all these things were advantageous. I am not saying that after the British rule things becomes disadvantageous. Obviously this was all for the betterment of the country, because the productivity of things increased. Now construction of large dams, it stored even huge amount of water, greater amount of electricity was produced. We all have studied about the working of dams, right, in our previous lesson where we spoke about the generation of hydroelectricity, right? So more amount of electricity was produced. They were the advantages, but at the same time there were certain disadvantages involved. For example, the local irrigation methods got neglected, since huge areas of land were utilized for construction of dams. So what happened? The needs of the local people were not met. People who were dependent on those lands, they used to cultivate things on those lands and earn their living, they got affected. Local irrigation methods also got neglected, because that entire area was being used up for the construction of the dams. Now, why do we actually construct dams? The purpose is water storage for irrigation. So the water which gets stored in the dams can be used for irrigation purpose, which in turn helps us in agriculture. Electricity generation, that is definitely a very useful application of dams, because electricity is something which we need in huge amounts these days. So it is the more we generate electricity, the better it is. But at the same time, we should ensure that the construction of the dams should not affect the life of the local people. But currently what is happening is that if a dam is being constructed, the people who were earlier habitants of that area, they are getting deprived of everything. They are getting deprived of their land, they are getting deprived of their life earning. So that ways it is affecting those local people. So that should be taken care. So even if the government decides to construct a dam somewhere, they should ensure that the local people should get compensated for the same, right? So let us now talk about the problems with dams. No equal distribution of water. Now, even if the dam gets constructed and you store water in dams, what happens? There are a certain group of people who are benefited with the water stored in the dams. There will be certain group of people who will make use of that water and they will cultivate high water demanding crops and all those things. But at the same time, there will be another segment of people who are completely deprived of water. So it does not ensure equal distribution of water. People nearby grow water intensive crops, those far away do not get any water. That is what I told, right? Because when you have a dam somewhere, people around that area, they will get more water, they will utilize more water, they will grow water intensive crops, that is crops which need more and more water. So they will consume most of it, and those who are living far away, they will not get any water to cultivate anything. Vast area of agricultural land is compromised. So you really need huge amount of area for construction of dams. So we should ensure that we are constructing a dam in an appropriate area where we can ensure little equal distribution of water, and at the same time the amount of land which we are compromised for the construction of that dam should get compensated. Human habitation is also compromised. As I said, the local people, they are getting compromised. Results in deforestation. More and more cutting down of trees. Let us suppose if you had a large green area which had trees and all, now you want to construct a dam, you'll cut down all those trees. So it results in deforestation. Causes loss of biological diversity. The moment you construct a dam, you are actually destroying the entire biological diversity in that area. Let us suppose earlier you had some forest. So you will cut down all the trees. When you construct a dam, all small birds, insects, animals which were living in that forest, they will all get destroyed. So it results in a loss of biological diversity. Huge amount of public money is used without generation of proportionate benefits. So this is a major drawback. mostly in our country, that so much of money is spent in construction of dams, but the benefits which we get out of it, that is again not equally distributed amongst everybody. There is a particular section of people which will get most of the benefits. There will be another section of people who will not get any benefit out of it. So people need to be aware of this unequal distribution of things in our country, and they should ensure that equal distribution of things are taken place. So these are some of the disadvantages or some of the problems with dams. So dams are definitely a useful thing because they help in generation of electricity, they help in storing water, they're extremely useful thing. But we need to make proper use of dams so that some of these problems can be overcome. That means even though you compromise the human habitation, you should ensure that those people are being compensated. They should be given some homes or some residential area in some other region. Similarly, for deforestation, if you're cutting down trees in that area, you should plant some other trees in some other area, so that at least you can ensure that the deforestation which took place here is compensated by the afforestation in some other region. Right? People should also ensure that there is equal distribution of water. It should not happen that people in the nearby area, they are wasting water, they are unnecessarily using more water, because that ways they are actually depriving other people of water. So based on whatever we studied so far, what did we see? We see that water is a precious resource and we do not have unlimited quantities of water. Whatever we get from rainfall, even the amount of rainfall is also dependent on the environmental pollution which we have. So the gist is that we should try to save water. At least whatever we have, we should make the best use of it and we should not waste any water. Save water, tell others to save water, because that will actually help us and our future generation.
Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.